Because today it's all about the money behind. Created by Ed Boon and John Tobias, Mortal Kombat was Midway Games' attempt to go head-to-head with a popular Street Fighter II. This original plan for Mortal Kombat was going to be a tie-in game for the 1992 film The Universal Soldier, starring none other than Jean-Claude Van Damme. However, the rights for this game were already being discussed with another studio. While this game was never made, Midway still wanted their fighting arcade game. The first Mortal Kombat was developed in just 10 months, finally being released in 1992 at the arcade, but by 1993 the arcade game had grossed more than $300 million, outperforming Jurassic Park. Around 1993, this version of the game would finally bust its way into the home console market, including the SNES, the Sega Genesis, the Game Boy, and the all-important Sega Game Gear. The SNES version actually had to be censored due to Nintendo's policies. Blood was removed, and those gory fatalities that the series is known and treasured for were replaced with simple finishing moves, which doesn't quite have the same ring to it. From here on out, they just kept making games, release after release. The popularity did nothing but continue to grow. Spin-offs, sequels, prequels, the games just kept coming. As a whole, the series sold over 54 million copies, selling more than game series like Far Cry, Crash Bandicoot, and even God of War. With 22 games in its corner between the years of 1992 and 2019, they definitely have a hefty portfolio of games. Now, in terms of individual titles themselves, Mortal Kombat X is actually the best-selling game in the series, with 11 million copies sold, also making it the third best-selling fighting game behind Street Fighter II and Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. Mortal Kombat 11 is another very popular one, selling 8 million copies, making it the 7th best-selling fighting game. As a franchise, Mortal Kombat is the third best-selling fighting game in the genre, with Dragon Ball taking the silver medal and Super Smash Bros. Sitting at the top. What's that? You want to know about the arcade games? Mortal Kombat 2 is the 15th best-selling arcade cabinet of all time, selling around 27,000 cabinets, which brought in $600 million for Midway. The first Mortal Kombat game is the 20th best-selling arcade cabinet of all time, selling 24,000, which brought in $570 million for Midway. Interested in arcade games? Be sure to let us know with a comment if you would like to see a video breaking down the best-selling arcade cabinets. All the games in arcade cabinets were immensely popular, but how did all the other forms of media do? Let's take a start by checking out those movies. That's right, it's back to the 90s. Like any popular video game franchise, some studio executives always seem to think it's a good idea to make it into a movie, and Mortal Kombat's no exception. Released in 1995 and produced by Threshold Entertainment, this film features cast, locations, and elements taken directly from the game. This film had a budget of just $20 million, but brought in over $122 million worldwide. Accounting for inflation, this movie made over $250 million, ladies and gentlemen. This film helped prove the concept that video game movies can make some serious cash. Seeing the success of the first film, just 2 years later they were back at it again with Mortal Kombat Annihilation. This movie mostly follows the events of Mortal Kombat 3. Unlike its predecessor though, this one did not do as hot. With a budget of $30 million, this film actually only had box office sales of about $51 million. It didn't fare too good with the critics or the fans either, as many just viewed it as a quick cash-in on the popularity of the game series and the first film. After this, they continued to make many forms of media, including 2 animated movies, a few television shows, card games, soundtracks, comics, and a live performance tour. Honestly, they should have just stopped after the first movie, because it all got worse after that. What about the newest movie? Being released on April 16th, both in theaters and on HBO Max. This one definitely looks good. Now, while we don't know the exact numbers for the budget, we have seen quite a few estimated budgets ranging from 50 to 90 million online. And if you're excited for this movie, let us know by obliterating that thumbs up button. The film definitely seems to be a popular movie, with everybody talking about it. So it's going to be very interesting to see just how well this film does in theaters. The Red Band trailer, after all, surprisingly enough, surpassed movies like Logan and Deadpool 2 to become the most watched Red Band trailer in history. Wow, would you look at that? It appears we're all out of time. But before you go, be sure to put in the comments down below if you're going to go and see this movie in theaters or on HBO from the comfort of your own living room. And while you're down there, be sure to press subscribe so that way you can stay up to date for more content like this from The Financial Fixation. I'm your host Dominic, and we'll see you in the next one.